Why, hello there. My name is Mountain, and today I'd like to talk to you about this. And what is this, you might ask? Well, this, my friends, is the Peak Design Roller Pro 34 liters, expandable up to 39 liters. Now, for those of you that don't know, Peak Design is a San Francisco, USA-based company that got its start back in the day with an extremely successful Kickstarter campaign, creating a combination everyday use camera bag for urban photographers and commuters. But they have since then dramatically expanded to offer a wide variety of camera, EDC, and travel use bags, pouches, and mobile accessories, and more. Now, this Roller Pro represents their first foray into roller luggage, and I have to say, it is a pretty impressive one, especially when it comes to all the innovations that they packed into this. Sometimes Peak Design goes a little bit over the top with reinventing the wheel, not always for the better, but my friends, this one is pretty much my favorite suitcase right now, and that's saying something. So let's talk about its main claims to fame. Well, I think first and foremost, like I'd have to say, somebody finally made a high quality top opening loading duffel or loading style, clamshell top loading style 4-wheel spinner. This top opening is pretty rare. We'll talk about that creak later, but it is by far, in my opinion, the best for access and capacity to size ratio, and Peak Design has done it really well here, almost perfectly, I would say, except for that creaking. It has a really good capacity to size ratio, not capacity to weight, I'll talk about that in a second, but size-wise, it's really, really good. They have really thin, robust sidewalls. They have no gigantic handles, like they've redesigned this back handle in a way that's just so thin and doesn't take up a lot of space in there. Just a lot of really usable space on the inside with some clever organization. Even the way they did this first order external access is really great, and we'll talk about that as well. This thing is just clean, clean, clean. There's no silly billowing internal fabric. There's a really high degree of innovation throughout the bag, even if some of it has been seen in other bags before. I already mentioned this cane, but it's really thin, doesn't take up a lot of space, doesn't rattle or jangle, really low profile. It's great. This front external access pocket with a laptop is really, really clean and efficient. A lot of innovation on the inside here. And they also sell a specific custom extra large camera cube for those of you that want to turn this into a dedicated camera carrying roller bag, which can expand the utility in some very certain specific cases. Now, there are some areas for improvement on this bag. First and foremost, at 3.9 kilograms, you heard that right, empty. This is a very heavy bag. Before you put anything into it, it's almost as heavy as like a full-size Moa cabin, which is made out of metal. So this thing is, just forget about it if you're traveling on any kind of budget airline or airline where they have like a 7-kilogram allowance. As much as I love that top drawstring opening, you heard that creaking of the plastic hinges, and they started doing that like on the second trip, and it just keeps going. In addition, like the drawstrings on that top opening can slip a little bit under load, so that's a little bit annoying as well. Finally, like in terms of materials or kind of like those things, like the zippers on here are very competent, but they're Peak Design's own creation, and I don't think they're as good as like class-leading YKK zips here. And while I did mention that they do sell like a custom like camera cube that can increase the utility of this bag, and they can, in general, I think this is a very poor value and fairly inefficient as a dedicated camera roller bag versus all the other kind of options out there, if that's what you're looking at this bag for. So in terms of a quick overview of this bag, it's available in one size, 34 liters, expandable up to 39 liters, 3 colors, black, which this one is, and like an olive, and then like a reddish color. It retails for some amount of money that I forgot to look up, but it's expensive. I'll put it here and also in the description below. It's available over on peakdesign.com. I've been using this one for a few months now, taking it on several trips around the world, also domestic trips, plane, train, and car. Peak Design doesn't know I'm reviewing this. I bought this with my own money. All opinions are my own, and all that stuff. So let's talk about the exterior design and materials. Sleek hybrid aesthetic. It blends this soft shell. It's got some softness to it with a little bit of like, hard, reinforced internal structure here. So it's a really good combination between like structured and softness with some of the advantages of both of them. I love how clean and sleek it looks versus like the standard floppy, busy, heavily fussy looking nylon bags. Think like a Toomey or one of those Road Warrior type things, or like the cheap plastic polycarbonate, whatever you usually see from like those direct-to-consumer brands or whatever. Minimalist lines and geometry, gently kind of rounded surfaces, but like some really good, nice structured design overall. The bag avoids that excessive external decoration and uses like really restrained design language, but still like looks like really nice. I think it looks really high-tech and clean, especially in the black. Obviously, if you go to like the red or the green, you get a little bit more pop of color and personality in there. And really nice functional aesthetic touches. Look at like these low-profile handles on all sides, including the bottom here, and a fairly high degree of water resistance, though it's not waterproof. It's kind of, I would say, nominally higher water resistant than most other luggages out there. Critically, in terms of like the design, this is carry-on compliant, at least in terms of size, not weight, on virtually every airline in the world. So external dimensions are 55.6 centimeters by 35.6 by 23 centimeters in depth in the kind of normal state, and then in the expanded state, obviously 55.6, 35.6, and then the 23 becomes 28 centimeters here. Internal capacity and dimensions is actually very efficient. So this is, 55.6 in the vertical, but internal capacity is 51.5. So obviously you lose some to the wheels, about 5 or so centimeters, but that can't be helped. Internal depth capacity, 35. So you're only losing 0.6 centimeters or so, give or take, probably a little bit more than 0.6, in terms of like the side, because those sidewalls are very thin, very efficient. And then 22 centimeters internally versus 23 on the external. So a very, very efficient kind of box, so to speak. It's obviously slightly smaller at 34 liters nominal capacity than like the max carry-on backpack, the very largest, or like think like a perfectly rectangular prism of those max carry-on dimensions. But in practice, like I said, this has a very high capacity to size ratio. Now the one downside is, as I said, 3.9 kilograms. Empty is super heavy. So if you're on one of those airlines, you frequently fly an airline with a 7 kilogram limit, this is not going to be the bag for you. So in terms of materials, like the TLDR and Peak Designs, they like to make their own fabric, hardware, materials. They did so here. They invented virtually every component custom for this bag. And for the most part, it's awesome. Body materials are a 70% recycled polycarbonate shell with 100% recycled weatherproof Versa shell, 500D nylon exterior. Blue Sign approved. The interior, as I mentioned, has like this custom felt contrast material, which is incredible. Like, look at how clean and nice that is. I love that. That's just, compared to like the normal billowing fabric, blah, blah, blah nonsense that you usually get. The rest of the materials are also kind of nice. You get little hypalon touches, for example, on the luggage tag here, or on the logo mark on the front. Really nice, robust nylon handles, and their own kind of custom zips. I think YKK zips are going to be a better choice, but these are relatively smooth, and I think they're fine and competent for most people. And they are smoother and easier to run than maybe equivalent Storm Guard zippers. I think the downside with these zippers is, like, over time I found like the Peak Design zippers can start to let a little bit of water in as they start to wear over time, but I think these are competent for 95% of people out there. Let's talk about the external lid pocket. So what I love is, even though how clean this bag is overall, it still has like this really nice first order access. It just opens up at the top like this. Look at this. Pocket. One-way zipper, water resistant here like this, opens up from the top. So flipping the bag down just so you can see for a second. So here's the top of the bag, bottom of the bag, front of the bag, opens up like this, and it reveals these two stretchy pockets like here, big enough to accommodate a phone or a battery bank or something like that. And there's flex and stretch on both sides. There's a really stretchy mesh, so it can accommodate some moderately bulky things like some earbuds or something like that. Here I just have like my car kit with like some sunglasses and like a cable to connect to the car when I get in a rental car at the destination. This side has a built-in key clip with a little metal aluminum keychain or key clip on the end there. Just keep your keys secure, but also readily accessible. This one has nothing. And then on top of that, you have like this nice big dump pocket at the top here. So just this big, nice, stretchy dump area, two smaller organization things. It's really unexpected amount of like nice organization. Here I just have like a toothbrush like I stole from like a plane. So you know, if you brush your teeth on the go or something like that. So I really love like the combination of organization with like a big dump area, and the kind of stretchiness makes it really easy on the go, kind of like in and out, flexible, whatever. But then on top of that, you also have this front area, which has this little magnetic, how do they work? Little divider, padded. And when you flip that back, that reveals this front mounted laptop carrying area. Here I have like an M1 MacBook Air, whatever, M2, I forgot one of them. And then just like this area. It's padded on both sides, very well protected, suspended off the bottom. The only thing I would caution you about, it fits obviously this 13-inch MacBook Air, but it'll fit up to like a 16-inch MacBook Pro. The only thing I would caution you about is like the bag does not fully defy the laws of physics. So if you have a bunch of stuff on the inside, it could put a lot of pressure on this front area here. So you just kind of want to be careful, especially like with a tablet or something like that where the glass screen is exposed. I just love how clean and useful and well integrated this, front organization, laptop, first order access pocket is. So much better than like the janky stuff you usually see like on a nylon, Toomey bag or whatever. It's like this big thing kind of sewn on the front, or like the really space intrusive, inefficient thing you might see like on a Rimowa Essential or something like that. Let's talk about the next feature that I really love about this bag, which is this front clamshell top opening and access. Opens via these two-way zippers. It's the same zipper situation as the rest of the bag here. As I mentioned already, I think they're competent zippers. They're relatively water resistant, at least when they're new, but I don't like them as much as I would like a leading, class leading YKK number 10 or something like that, but they're fine. You gotta be a little bit careful, especially you got a lot of stuff inside when you kind of navigate this curve here. I just like to put a little bit of pressure here, make sure nothing's kind of sticking out, especially like from here. I kind of like push it in because there could be a lot of pressure as you navigate this curve area, zipping or unzipping the bag. But once you navigate that, you are greeted with what I think is well, first of all, that noise, which we'll talk about, but I think one of just the most amazing top opening, top loading styles. It's so much more efficient, like the half splitting clamshell or, two-part suitcase style. Cause you think this is 23 centimeters in height for a max carry-on, usually something like that. And the clamshell style, or the ones that split in half, that means at most you could fit something in each half that's up to 11 or 12 centimeters in height. This one, you got almost the entire 23 centimeters in height. That makes a big difference in terms of what kind of bulky stuff you can fit in there, but also in terms of just space efficiency and simplicity. I love it. This bag is so easy to load, and we're going to talk about that in a second when I show you everything I have inside of here. But before we do that, let's talk about this amazing lid situation. The lid opens like this. I promise to talk about that creak in a second. And there's these two little pulleys, these little drawstring things that you can use to adjust the angle to which it opens. It is awesome that it stays open like this because you can just, and we'll talk about these in a second, you can access everything in here, you can access everything in here, and you can do it in a footprint that's just the size of this rather than the entire width of your fully split open suitcase. And it boggles my mind that more manufacturers don't have this type of style of opening in four-wheel spinner carry-on suitcases. It's great. Okay, so I did mention there's these little drawstring things on here. They're just these simple little cords with a little knot you can use to adjust the height, and they clip onto these little clips on the side. You can obviously remove them and flop it fully open as I showed you. You can also adjust the angle so that this thing, for example, just opens up this far or opens up this far. They do slip a little bit over time, especially if you have a lot of heavy stuff, like heavy laptop and heavy stuff up here, and you're always slamming it like this, it'll start to slip over time. But for me, I like to keep it somewhere around here, and I try and be a little bit careful when I open the lid so it's not always slamming against it. The reason why, you can hear that. So Peak Design says that these are their fiberglass reinforced plastic hinges, and they are obviously central to the design of this kind of top opening style. They're great, but they started creaking on the second time I brought this bag out, which I guess maybe means they're not that great. I do try and just be careful not to let the bag slam, and I do kind of set these drawstrings, as I mentioned, to kind of take off some of the pressure on there. I just got to be careful. I tried lubricating them, but they keep making these noises. I just think that's unfortunately not great. I don't like that. I hope they fix that in the V2 of this, but overall, except for that, I really do enjoy this top opening style, and I think it's amazing. Since we're here, let's talk about this top inner panel organizer thing. So this thing opens up, and you have these three kind of zippered pockets. They've got some stretch on the back. They've got this clear, really robust mesh on the front, and it is awesome. Normally I would carry all these little small things in a pouch, and then I'd be fishing around in the destination in the pouch or taking up space in the main compartment, or else I have to unpack the pouch, get a bunch of little small stuff laid everywhere. With this one, it's just great. These three really low profile but high visibility, super useful. It pops right open. It holds open like this. Full access pockets. You can put anything you want in them. Like I said, they do have some stretch in the back. There's a stretch mesh, so you do have some flexibility. Here I have, for example, a mask, a highlighter, little coins or doodads on here. So I put a little mini dop kit or something up here. Here I've got my universal Anker universal adapter, extension cord. I'll usually put batteries, USB power bank, or camera battery, something like that inside of here. I'll have my mask and some other stuff here at the bottom. You can put whatever you want. Obviously, if you're rocking this bag to, do camera equipment or whatever, you can put your batteries and filter cell stuff inside of here. This thing also zips down like this all the way. If you're not using it, we'll talk about what we have back here in a second. You can roll it up. Say I have stuff inside of there, but you can roll it up. There's this little bungee here. It connects onto this little front hook we have here. You can roll it up and out of the way, and you get like the full capacity now without that organizer if you want, or you can roll it up like this. And I find that it flexes quite a bit, like really nicely, because it is all stretchy. So like I find like it's really nice utility, and I still get to use most of the space inside of here. So I don't usually roll it up, but you can if you want. It also gives you this nice little like hidden organizer panel in the back here. I usually use this to carry flat things like my papers of business or other, like a Ziploc bag or whatever. I like that because like top loading bags usually don't have a great place to store something flat like business papers or something like that, or magazines or whatever. So I like that that's here. You can also put like a folded, dress shirt or something like that inside of here. If you unzip this area down all the way, you see there's also this hidden little pocket up here. It has a little thing that says like no two trips are the same. There's a little Velcro there, and then you can put like a passport or a wallet or something else that you want to keep secure and out of the way. I wouldn't put my passport in here when I'm traveling because it's really hard to access. You have to like set down the bag, open this thing up, unzip this thing, pull this up and get inside of here. But maybe when you're at the destination, it's a good place to kind of keep it secure so you don't lose it. And then over on the right side here, we have this little tiny pocket for your air tag, if that's what you would like. I love how it's kind of just tucked out of the way there, really kind of hidden, but like easy to access and all of that. So overall, I really just love this entire internal lid organization area. It's like perfectly unobtrusive, but highly functional internal organization in an otherwise kind of like, high capacity, simple internal bag. So I have this thing packed out just how I had it on a recent trip, which I just got back from. So you can see, as I mentioned, like it opens up right away like this, full access to the front, and then everything inside of here. Inside of here, I'm going to show you what I have, and then we'll talk about the inside compartment and all that. ROG Ally X in a protective case. I bought that. I didn't play it once, but it was good to have it emotionally, I guess. This is the Bellroy 10-liter camera DSLR. Inside of here, I have a A7CR and then a couple of zoom lenses, small body, super high resolution sensor. Pretty big, zoom range and pretty compact package with a bunch of filters and all that stuff. All fits inside here in this 10-liter thing, which was a great destination use bag. And that also, you can see, just fits right inside of here. It's awesome. You can see now we have full visibility to the inside here. Now, Peak Design obviously does make their own kind of packing ecosystem or whatever. I found that it's not as efficient. It sort of nominally fits to this bag. But I found it's not as efficient as kind of like some of the other alternatives here. So what I have here is mainly the air system, which I really like, and I think it fits really well inside of here. Well, this is a North Face stuff sack. I have a Arc'teryx Gamma MX shell on here. It's my usual go-to travel shell. I have inside of here Air Dop Kit, with all my Dop Kitty stuff. I have inside of here an Air Slim Pouch 3 with all my tech goods and cables and all of that. And then I have here an Air small zip pouch with some just, doodads, gym stuff, etc., miscellaneous. And then I have an Air large packing cube, compressible, which has all my clothes inside of there. And then also I have here a hair iron and a custom DCF package, or zip pouch, which I sewed because, you got to look good or else it don't matter, my friends. And you can see just opening it up, you just have like this full internal view, and look at how little space the handles take up. I'm going to talk more about that in a second here, but this is great. Look at how clean it is. You don't have that crazy billowing fabric with the zippers. So they can get into, like, this is all custom made. This is why it has such a high capacity to size ratio. Just how thin these walls are, how clean it is, nice contrast view, everything stands up. The only real features to talk about inside of here are these kind of compression bungees that they have here. They run the outside of here. There's a little adjustment at the bottom if you wanted to like make them tighter or looser. You can use one or both or the other. You can use one or both or the other. It just kind of helps retain and push everything down. I don't usually use them that much, especially because this is a top loading style. So like usually you just flip it open like this. You open it up and gravity keeps everything in place. But if you had some stuff you wanted to kind of keep from shifting around, it is a really nice, low profile, easy to deploy, quick way to kind of keep your stuff all together and compressed. And now let me just demonstrate how quick and easy it is to load all of this. So you just kind of drop 1 and 2, and because everything's just so out of the way and just very smooth and clean, like it's zero fuss or muss really to load anything. And this is a pretty substantial, you know, load out here. I mean, I'm even carrying like a full camera kit plus a camera destination use bag or whatever. And you can see just all sits really nicely in there. And there's still, you can fit a little bit more stuff in there, but this is great. Now, close the top out. And like I mentioned, you have to be a little bit careful when you really have this thing loaded in. You want to make sure you don't put too much pressure as you're kind of going around these corners. And there you go, nice, efficient package. Now there is expansion gusset on the side if you wanted to expand the capacity of the bag out like this. Goes all around the side like this. They have a nice little elastic gusset on the inside, and you can see you got a little bit more capacity, as I mentioned. And it's pretty efficient. I didn't have any problems with this, but as for me, usually I just keep it compressed. I tend to pack relatively efficiently, so I don't really need that expansion, but it's really nice that it does have that, and it's a really well built implementation. I found it wasn't as like wobbly or unstable when it was expanded as you often have with some of these kind of expandable type capacities. Really clean and sleek and good. So the other kind of really highly innovative feature on this bag is like that back cane, which I showed you earlier on the inside there. It is super flat. It is made of carbon fiber or something like carbon weave or whatever. Look at how flat it is. And I already showed you like the inside, it doesn't take up any space. That's one of the major annoyances with like a suitcase is like you lose all this space and usable capacity because of the big canes or whatever. This one is so nice. It's so flat. It doesn't really rattle. It's really quite rigid, quite strong. So low profile. You saw how efficient it was. Really solid kind of release. The only maybe downsides I would mention to this handle, generally I just love this handle, is it only has 2 points of adjustment, which is not really that much. You could have all the way out, or you could have down 1, and that's it. There's nothing else from here to here. So 1 and 2. And it is just a little bit short at maximum extension if you're going down an escalator, depending on your height and length of your arms and all that. I found it was just a little bit short, but you know, something I wanted to maybe mention here. Fully deployed, extended, it's 100 centimeters off the ground. At 2/3 extended is 90.5 centimeters off the ground. Talking about the rest of the load carry system, you have handles on every side. These low profile, you know, nicely padded with the nylon webbing handles, one on the top, one on each side, and then nicely one on the bottom here. It's not as padded, it's a little bit rubber because it's on the bottom, but it's really nice for kind of pulling this off of the overhead bin or whatever. You could port this thing around in any capacity or size or angle you want. I love the handles on this bag here. On the back, you have these nice rubber skid plates, including here. This is really critical if you think about like when you pull the thing out from the overhead bin, this is where it would often like kind of scratch or catch on the edge. Or if you pull it up and over like an escalator step at the bottom, this is usually where that sharp edges will dig in, but they have these nice little rubber skid plates. And because they have 2 up here at the top as well, you can just lay the thing down and it kind of lays flat here, which I really like. When you put it in the overhead bin, it keeps it from like scratching up the back surface of your luggage when you're kind of pulling it in and out. I wish they'd had them on the sides as well, because you know you often have to stack your luggage kind of like this for maximum efficiency in the overhead bin, but it's okay that they don't have that, and maybe it would have ruined the aesthetics here. There's another really awesome part of the load carriage I want to talk about before I get into the wheels, and that is what you can see on the side here is you've got these little bungees. So you have 2 little loops here, 2 little loops here, and then on the top you have these 2 little loops, one here, one here, one here. And you know, I have them on this side here as well. It comes with this little bungee system, this little bungee system looking thing like this. It's awesome and I love it. So what you do is you just take it, you loop it through any of these little loops that you would like, anywhere on the top or sides or whatever, go like this. And then you've got this little bungee that just sits on the top like this. You could pop it on here, and then all of a sudden you have a way to be able to lash anything that you want to the sides. And then what you do is you just take this, and then what I do is I'll run a bungee through one side like this, pop it on to here, tighten it up, take the other bungee, run it through the side like this, pop it onto here on the front, and then you have this really nice carrying a tripod or something like that on the side, however you would like. You could obviously carry other things like that. You could strap something to the top on, you know, stabilize it on top like this. I really like these bungees so much. I think they greatly increase the utility of the bag without adding a ton of bulk, and then they like remove really easily and are super clean for a super clean look when you're not using that. The wheels are fine and decent. They're not class leading, but they're generally very competent in a manner consistent, I think, with the price point. They're kind of these dual plastic wheels on each side with this this plastic hub, says Peak Design in the front, and rubber surface. I'm not sure if they made these fully custom or if they're just a rebranded kind of item. They work well enough on smooth surfaces, spin nicely, easy to push, etc. They did struggle in some areas. Some of it's sort of inherent to the four-wheel pusher style. So cobblestone roads or rough kind of surfaces. I mean, they struggle on that, but that's to be expected for this style of bag. You really want like a two-wheel with bigger wheels kind of pull behind. These are only I think 5 centimeters, 4.5. So it's expected they would struggle on cobblestone or rougher surfaces. I found these struggled a lot even on relatively low pile carpet, which was unexpected. I definitely have other four-wheel spinners that perform superior on low pile carpet, something you might find in an airline lounge or hotel or something like that. So that wasn't as great, but again, these wheels are completely fine for the most part. Last thing to talk about is this sort of built-in, this included custom Hypalon and metal luggage tag. It kind of attaches to this loop. There's one on one side here and then one on the other side right here, which I really like. It's a really nice low profile way to be able to attach this thing, but it kind of keeps it out of the way, but still accessible when you need it, but unlikely to be ripped off. And if you have to check this in to the luggage system, you just pop open this little tab here and it reveals this two, I've blacked out my address here, but two white areas where you can write your address and permanent marker on there, and then just kind of clip it shut like this. So nice. I like it so much better. I have a $3,300 Rimowa distinct luggage that comes with this janky, generic, cheap, square commodity luggage tag, and this one, still an expensive bag, but nowhere near $3,300. Comes with this really nice, well-designed luggage tag. It reminds me a lot of the Matador luggage tags that they sell. Also sell a similar Hypalon one, though theirs have a really rough plastic slider buckle that I really hate using. This is so much nicer. I really like this luggage tag. So finally, I think two last things to mention. This as a camera bag, as I mentioned, it does fit the camera cube system that they have. I'm not going to get all up into it in there, but you can just be assured that it does fit inside of there. They do sell a custom extra large insert, which I really wouldn't recommend unless you're super deep in the Peak Design ecosystem, just because I think you lose a lot of the inherent efficiency of such the high capacity bag when you start adding this modular chunky thing. Adds a lot of extra weight, adds a ton of extra expense on top of the expensive price of this bag. And there's just far better solutions if you're looking for a dedicated roller bag. But if you're already super deep in the ecosystem and you're looking for this bag to do one bag, everything, including travel, but also you need to have it sometimes do a camera bag thing, maybe that'd be a good choice. I would not consider this bag primarily for photographic purposes. So that having been said, who is this bag for and who's it not for? It's for the road warriors, the tech travelers, the business travelers. Really nice integrated front, first order access with the laptop and the small item pocket, and then the internal lid organization and the drawbridge opening keeps you organized, highly accessible, packable, very efficient capacity to size ratio. And it comes with a lifetime warranty and robust hybrid soft, hard construction to survive your journeys, and it's great. It's also perfect for the one bag suitcase carry-on homies. 34 liters with expansion to 39 liters gives you a huge amount of flexibility. In a carry-on size with great capacity to size ratio, lots of innovative features, amazing build quality, blah, 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 except for that creaky hinge thing. It's not going to be for the weight or the price conscious. This thing is 3.9 kilograms empty, which is crazy. I don't usually talk about price on this channel, but I think this thing's $600 US, which is quite a lot of money for a roller bag. I think worth it if you're going to have the one bag and you're sure this is going to fit your needs, but it is, a pricey one. It's not a great bag for the dedicated photographers. I already talked a little bit about kind of what I see as the downsides of using this as a dedicated photography bag, unless you fit in the very specific niche of as I mentioned, you have a bunch of the Peak Design stuff already, or you're looking for one bag that will do everything and blah, blah, blah. They're just better dedicated rollers out there. So that having been said, if you're in the market for a bag like this, what are some other bags that you should consider? Usually I talk about other alternatives to this bag, but I'm not going to talk about that here. Instead, I'm going to just briefly touch on a couple of other suitcases that have done things like this bag did, but they did it before. This is the Louis Vuitton Pegase 55. It came out years before. You're gonna notice some stuff here. First order access in the front here for a laptop and some organization pockets, plus a big dump area. Obviously in a little bit more of a, traditional zippered on style. Look at these metal zippers, very nice. Little leather touches on here. Coated canvas, that's not great, but it's Louis Vuitton, what do you expect? But look at this. Watch this, friends. top opening style, exact same clamshell, but if even possible, even higher capacity to size ratio, because look at how thin these sidewalls are. And you're gonna notice something else on the back here. Look at this, very low profile internal canes. Why is that? That's because these guys, Mark Newson, shout out, one of my favorite designers. These guys did the ultra thin cane with the low rattle, high build quality, integrated felt interior without that billowing fabric or whatever, years before Peak Design did. That doesn't mean that I don't think Peak Design did an awesome job. I think they did an incredible job. This is a significantly more expensive bag. Obviously, it's Louis Vuitton. But I just wanted to point out, like, a lot of innovation in this bag. A lot of those features years before Peak Design. This is a really nice bag. Louis Vuitton has, despite all their flaws and despite my disdain for LVMH as a general enterprise, like, their luggage is genuinely innovative. It's worth checking out maybe if you're looking for a more efficient take on some of the concepts that you saw here today. Not a more efficient, a more fashionable and possibly more efficient take on there. Obviously, much more beautiful, fashionable bag, brand recognition. It's a two-wheel puller. There are four-wheel spinners in the Horizon line series, but just lots of like great stuff going on in this bag here. For the fashion homies out there, it's great built-in lock, metal, metal construction, and canvas and leather and all that. So also by LVMH, there is the Louis Vuitton Horizon 55 duffel, soft duffel, which I previously reviewed on the channel. I ended up selling that one for a variety of reasons, but I will link the review in the description below. This one also has a lot of awesome stuff going on for it. Top loading style, super efficient capacity to size ratio. It pulls the handles off to the handle canes out to the sides, one on each side here, and makes them very beautiful and robust. Like in general, like the designer of that series of a lot of the Louis Vuitton luggages has some really innovative takes on handles and capacity of size and top loading styles or whatever. So definitely worth checking that out. I'll link the full review in the description below. And so that having been said, if you have any questions about this bag, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. And if I can, I will answer them. If you have any bags or other items you'd like me to review, leave those in the comments below. If I can, I will review them. Thank you very much.